Hello, beautiful people of the interwebs! This is going to be my 7th attempt at a vlog. Now, I know that I just recorded a vlog, like, really recently, but I felt that I needed to do another one because some things have occurred recently that are going to have an effect on the Skyrim Let's Play series, and for a change, pretty much all of them are actually good things, and not bad, terrible things like they usually are. The biggest and most important and probably most anticipated thing is that after like over 2 months or possibly more of bitching and complaining and talking about it, I finally went ahead and purchased and installed my brand new graphics card. So that is very exciting for moi. The card that I decided on is the GTX 770. It's the 4GB and it is the EVGA overclocked version. Oddly enough, the GTX 770 was one of my 2 original picks that I was trying to decide between, only to discover it was way more complicated than I thought, and there were so many different GTX 774 gigs to choose from, but this is the one that I finally decided on. And I have to say, this is a NVIDIA card. Before I had an AMD card, and the installation was a lot easier than I expected it to be. I actually put aside this entire day specifically to physically install the card, get the drivers, get the software, set it up, make sure it worked, update all my Skyrim INI, Skyrim Pref INI, ENB series, like update everything. And I was actually pretty much done with most of it except some tinkering by like 12:30 p.m. and I started at like 10 or something. So I expected it to take all day long, and it didn't. The drivers and software for this card took like 5 minutes or something to install, which was really a shock for me because when I did the AMD, which was well over a year ago now, it literally took hours to fully install everything. It was like, and it wasn't internet access. It wasn't like downloading the things. Installing just took for flippin' ever. So I expected that to be the case this time. Maybe I just had some really bad luck. Maybe it was that particular card. Maybe this one's just particularly impressive with the installation. I'm not really sure, but I was really impressed with that. The software I thought was really easy to understand and to use. Now, granted, I have literally only have the card installed for like 4.5 hours or 5 hours or something like that, so it's not like I can actually give you a full review on the card. Just my initial first impressions of it is that it's really easy to use, and I ran some tests in Skyrim and it was like noticeably improved with a lot less stuttering. Obviously, you're still going to get those FPS drops when you go into specific places in Skyrim that are really badly optimized. Like, for instance, when you first walk in the door to Solitude and you get like that full view of Solitude in front of you, the frame rate is always shit. You know, even when I'm not recording, I can see that the frame rate is shit right there. And it probably doesn't help that I have like RLO installed. I have a couple of other things that make it even worse. But as far as I recall, I think even when it was vanilla, when I walked into that door, you could really see the frame rate had dropped. So obviously that's still in place, but the main world is noticeably better in terms of keeping everything smooth. In addition to that, the NVIDIA cards in this series, in the 700 series, come with a recording solution called Shadowplay. And I keep trying to call it software. It's actually not software. It's a hardware solution. It's actually a chip that's built in to the graphics card itself that does the recording and does the rendering, just sort of all in the background. And I really thought it was going to be shit. It was actually first brought to my attention by a comment from Dimu-Dao, I have no idea how to say that, sorry. You know, that was brought to my attention. It was the first time I had heard of it. I thought, well, if I get a NVIDIA card, you know, I'll look at it. But in the back of my mind, it was just like, yeah, well, Bandicam was supposed to be better than Fraps, and Dextory was supposed to be better than Fraps, and several other things that I've tried, the people say, oh, it's so much better than Fraps. I'm sure it is for the people who say that, and that's great for them, but every time I have tried to use anything other than Fraps to record my gameplay, it goes to shit. Bandicam actually looked like it was going great, and I recorded 2 hours of a different game than Skyrim, and somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes of the gameplay that looked good, and after that it started recording like one frame every few seconds. It was just sort of like really slow strobe gaming. It's terrible, and I lost all of it and never gave me any indication that anything was wrong. As for Dick's story, I always got really, really awful quality with it, and I didn't really have the energy to try to figure out why that was, because I already had Fraps and it was already working, so it's just like, well, whatever. But I am really surprised with the quality and the ease of use of Shadowplay. I've only run some tests, you know, a few minutes, but the FPS drops are there, but they're much less than Fraps. It has very, very few options, but it has the options that I require. The file sizes that it creates are much, much smaller than Fraps, because it's actually rendered in that chip that I mentioned inside the card. So rather than getting like, I don't know, I don't even know how many gigs a minute you get with Fraps, but it's like a lot. It's definitely more than 4. But with Shadowplay, it was like, I don't know, 250 megs or something like that a minute. Like, it was really small. And if there is a quality difference, I can't see it. So I'm really impressed with that. I'm going to be using Shadowplay at least for a little while, and, you know, unless I come across some glitches. The only one thing I noticed about it that concerned me a little bit is that if the game stops before the recording stops, you lose the recording. And that concerns me because with the 4 gig card, I'm going to be installing bigger mods like HD mods, texture mods that are going to be using more memory. Skyrim has a memory cap of 3.1 gigs. I've got a 4 gig card, and as I install these HD high-res mods and start trying to use them, there's a possibility of a CTD, a crash to desktop error, because of the memory. Now, I do already have installed memory patches like EN Boost that are actually supposed to stop that from happening, but they've never been tested with my setup because I've never gotten to that cap. And I would hate to have the first test occur when I'm using Shadowplay and lose a bunch of footage because I didn't realize I was approaching the cap, and it turned out that the memory patches I have in place don't always work. With Fraps, if the game were to crash, or if I were to close the game without finishing the recording, Fraps would just automatically stop and finish the recording for me, and it would be there in all its glory. That's one thing I'm a little concerned about with the Shadowplay, is that I found even if I manually close down the game without stopping the recording, it's unrenderable. I know, for instance, the one time I lost power while I was recording with Fraps, and it recorded everything but like the last 10 seconds. It wasn't fully renderable. I actually had to use Fraps to re-record the footage by playing it in the one program that was able to play it, and then re-recording it with Fraps again. It was the only way to get the video back, because otherwise only the first 3 minutes was properly rendered. But it appears that with Shadowplay, none of it will be properly rendered, and if I were to suddenly lose electricity, or you know, a component should blow out, another power supply explosion or something, then I would actually lose the gameplay video. Really, the way around that is just to start a new recording like every 30 minutes or so to make sure that I wouldn't lose so much, not do those 2-hour straight through sessions. But that's just about the only downside that I've noticed with it. So I'll probably be using that for a while. You might have noticed, if you're like into mods with the Skyrim Let's Play, that earlier I mentioned, you know, installing some high-res, some HD mods. I have been looking at those kinds of mods today, doing some installation. I am going to be continuing the Let's Play with these high-res mods. I'm not going to go into what they are right now because I'm just going to have to do it again at the beginning of that first video that has them, so you'll learn all about them then. And I'm sure that I will be, you know, using one for a while and uninstalling it and then trying a new one and seeing if I like that better. And still, of course, performance is going to be an issue. Yes, it is a 4 gig card, but I am recording at the same time, 2 videos at the same time, 2 audio streams separately. There are not infinite resources, so you know, I'm not going to be installing like any kind of, like, I'm not going to install HD 4K textures. I play on a small, relatively small monitor. It's 1920 by 1080, and there's no reason to get anything bigger than a 2K file size because I won't be able to see the difference, and you won't be able to see the difference in YouTube either, so there's really no point. Now, I did think it would be really cool if starting on video 200, we could have like the new card and the new mods, and it's like a whole new experience. But unfortunately, the timing didn't work out that way. It's actually going to start on video 202. Right now I'm at 199, and as I understand it, the playlist can only have 200 videos in them. So a new playlist will start with 201, apparently, and then the new card and the new mods and just the higher quality in general will start with video 202. This is all presuming something doesn't go horribly wrong between now and then, and nothing explodes, and you know, I have horrible luck with this stuff, so just don't depend on anything, and maybe it'll be okay. Now, I did say that almost everything was good news. There's one tiny little hitch that is probably more annoying to me than it is to you. Well, I guess you could say two tiny little hitches. One is that I have sent back the new webcam that I purchased. There were some workarounds that were available. Visual Vel had mentioned that you could record in the Logitech software, but then you could record your audio in Audacity, which is true. That's something that you can do, and I did try it. As the recording goes on and on and on and on and on, it gets very, very slightly out of sync in my rendering software. That could be the fault of my rendering software. I'm not necessarily saying that it was the fault of the webcam, but the webcam already had so many problems, and it just occurred to me, you know what? It was expensive. There were other webcams that were available that were similar quality, that were less money or around the same amount of money, that I would hope would not have this problem. And I did hold on to the webcam long enough to install the new graphics card, thinking, well, maybe it's not the webcam, maybe it's the fault of my graphics card, maybe it's not strong enough, you know, to handle that webcam. But once I had the NVIDIA installed and ready to go, it still had the exact same problem in the exact same way, regardless of how I recorded it. So it clearly is a problem either with the webcam itself or the software or the drivers. I'm not entirely sure. And that is the Logitech C920 that I'm talking about. And incidentally, I was recently told that I am pronouncing that wrong, and it's actually Logitech, like logic and technology, but considering that lately I've been having some pretty illogical experiences with them, I'm going to continue to call them Logitech. So I will look into getting another webcam, but right now it's not really a top priority. That's mainly because of the amount of research they'll have to do, and I'm kind of sick of researching things at the moment. But you know, if you have a recommendation for one that does good quality and has the audio in sync with the video and recording, you know, and doesn't cost $300, then, you know, feel free to let me know. The other slight issue is also a Logitech issue, and it is this, my headset. This is a horrible, horrible situation. I really, really like this headset. This is the G930, I believe, also Logitech, of course, and it's really comfortable and it's heavy. It feels like it has really good build quality. You know, the microphone has the whole like, I'm flexible, I'm Gumby kind of thing going on, which is great. The ears are like really large, like they fully cover my ear and possibly another ear of about the same size. So it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt my head, and it's just really comfortable. The sound is good. It's has a lot of adjustments that you can do in terms with the 7.1 surround sound. The actual problem is in the, I guess the drivers or the software, I'm not sure. I guess it would be the drivers of the microphone. This is actually a really good microphone. When I use it to chat with people, they think it's really good and everything's great. It's great quality, it's clear. Here's the problem. When you want to record with it, for reasons that no one on the planet has been able to decipher, Logitech decided to make it so that the quality that you can record at is permanently locked to 16,000 hertz, 16-bit, and it cannot get any better than that. And just for comparison purposes, that is about the quality that you would get on one of those big, chunky, old tape recorders that you might have had when you were a kid, or if you're a lot younger than me, that you might have no idea what the hell I'm even talking about. But basically it has that quality when you record of like sort of a little bit of hissing, and your S's are not sharp. They sound sort of almost like you're in a can or something. You cannot increase that. And Logitech's excuse for why it is locked like that is, I said, well, it takes too much bandwidth and we needed that for the surround sound. But the software that the headset comes with gives you an option to turn off the surround sound. But it doesn't give you an option to unlock the quality of the mic recording. And I would be happy to not have the surround sound when I'm playing Skyrim in order for you guys to be able to hear me a little better. I've done the best that I could with it so far by just recording it in Audacity and then editing out some of the background noise. It doesn't really help with the quality of my actual voice when I'm talking. But of course, the quality of the microphone in this webcam isn't very good either. And it's just basically, do I want the kind of bad quality that comes with the mic or the kind of bad quality that comes with the webcam? And they're both not very good quality, but they're not very good quality in two very different ways. This one is a bit more tinny and kind of has the vibrating water sound in the background that's hard to get rid of. So neither of them are particularly good. What I have done is, because I really like everything else about this headset and I thought about sending it back, you know, I thought about getting those new Corsair 2100s, that wireless one, but you know, whenever you look at, or at least whenever I look at reviews of wireless headsets, nobody ever talks about the recording quality of the microphone. They talk about if it has noise canceling, they talk a lot about the sound, the fit, the comfort, the durability, but like nobody talks about whether or not it has good recording quality for the microphone. So I could get those Corsair 2100s and have the exact same problem, and you know, maybe it's not as comfortable as this one, because I noticed like the ear things, I don't know what you call these, the ear speakers, they're like ear muffs, I don't know, but they're not as big, they might not be as comfortable. So despite the fact that it is not as good as it should be, or even as good as it could be, just unlock the quality. Oh my god! I have pretty much decided to keep the headset anyway because of all those other factors that I mentioned that I really like. And I've actually purchased, but it hasn't arrived yet, I purchased a desk microphone. It's basically going to make me feel like I'm a radio announcer all of a sudden or whatever, but it has pretty good reviews. It wasn't that expensive. I figured I might as well try it out, and you know how it is, whatever you buy on Amazon, if it sucks, you can just send it back. So I think that is pretty much all the news that I have. This went on a lot longer than I expected it to. I should get started on those new recordings over the next couple of days. I might even do some tonight. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I might do some tonight, and otherwise I will definitely do some over the next 2 days. And we should be back to uploading one video a day, the way it used to be before I sort of went on that weird little I'm depressed sabbatical. I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope that you are too, and I hope that it goes well. I hope that there aren't any problems, like I'm kind of infamous for having these terrible recording problems, so hopefully everything goes well, and maybe the desk microphone will get here and it'll be the best thing ever, and everything will just be fantastic. If you're watching this vlog as soon as it was uploaded, then expect the next 2 videos at the usual quality, and then get ready for a whole new adventure. Thanks very much for watching, and have a good night. Bye!